Page 3. Praise to Shakyamuni Buddha. To the founder, the endowed, transcendent destroyer, the one gone beyond the foe destroyer, the completely perfected, fully awakened being, perfect in knowledge and in good conduct, Sugata, knower of the world, supreme guide of human beings to be tamed, teacher of gods and human beings, to you, the completely and fully awakened one, the endowed, transcendent destroyer, the glorious conqueror, the subduer from the Shakya clan, I prostrate, make offerings, and go for refuge. To the founder, the endowed, transcendent destroyer, the one gone beyond the foe destroyer, the completely perfected, fully awakened being, perfect in knowledge and in good conduct, Sugata, knower of the world, supreme guide of human beings to be tamed, teacher of gods and human beings, to you, the completely and fully awakened one, the endowed, transcendent destroyer, the glorious conqueror, the subduer from the Shakya clan, I prostrate, make offerings, and go for refuge. To the founder, the endowed, transcendent destroyer, the one gone beyond the foe destroyer, the completely perfected, fully awakened being, perfect in knowledge and in good conduct, Sugata, knower of the world, supreme guide of human beings to be tamed, teacher of gods and human beings, to you, the completely and fully awakened one, the endowed, transcendent destroyer, the glorious conqueror, the subduer from the Shakya clan, I prostrate, make offerings, and go for refuge. When, O supreme amongst humans, you were born on this earth, you paced out 7 strides, then said, I am supreme in this world. To you who were wise then, I prostrate. With pure bodies, form supremely pure, wisdom ocean like a golden mountain, fame that blazes in the 3 worlds, winner of the best, Lord, to you I prostrate. With the supreme science, face like spotless moon, color like gold, to you I prostrate. Dust free like you, the 3 worlds are not, incomparably wise one, to you I prostrate. The Saviour having great compassion, the Founder having all understanding. So I prostrate. The purity that frees one from attachment, the virtue that frees one from the lower realms, the one path, the sublime reality, to the Dharma that pacifies, I prostrate. Those who are liberated and who also show the path to liberation, the holy field qualified with realizations, who are devoted to the moral precepts, to you, the sublime community intending virtue, I prostrate. Homage to the Supreme Buddha, homage to the Dharma refuge, homage to the great Sangha, to all 3 ever devout homage, to all worthy of respect, bowing with bodies as many as all realms, atoms, in all aspects. With supreme faith I pay homage. Do not commit any non-virtuous actions. Perform only perfect virtuous actions. Subdue your mind thoroughly. This is the teaching of the Buddha. A star, a visual aberration, a flame of a lamp, an illusion, a drop of dew or a bubble, a dream, a flash of lightning, a cloud. See conditioned things as such. Through these merits may sentient beings attain the rank of all-seeing, subdue the foe of faults, and be delivered from samsara's ocean, perturbed by the waves of aging, sickness, and death. Page 15. The Heart of the Perfection of Wisdom Sutra. I prostrate to the Arya Triple Gem. Thus did I hear at one time. The Bhagawan was dwelling on massive Vulture's mountain in Rajagriha, together with a great community of monks and a great community of bodhisattvas. At that time, the Bhagawan was absorbed in the concentration on the categories of phenomena called profound perfection. Also at that time, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Arya Avalokiteshvara looked upon the very practice of the profound perfection of wisdom, and beheld those 5 aggregates also as empty of inherent nature. Then, through the power of Buddha, the Venerable Shariputra said this to the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Arya Avalokiteshvara: How should any son of the lineage train who wishes to practice the activity of the profound perfection of wisdom? He said that, and the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Arya Avalokiteshvara said this to the Venerable Shariputra: Shariputra, any son of the lineage or daughter of the lineage who wishes to practice the activity of the profound perfection of wisdom should look upon it like this, correctly and repeatedly beholding those 5 aggregates also as empty of inherent nature. Form is empty, emptiness is form. Emptiness is not other than form. Form is also not other than emptiness. In the same way, feeling, discrimination, compositional factors, and consciousness are empty. Shariputra, likewise, all phenomena are emptiness, without characteristic, unproduced, unceased, stainless, not without stain, not deficient, not fulfilled. Shariputra, therefore, in emptiness there is no form, no feeling, no discrimination, no compositional factors, no consciousness. No eye, no ear, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mind, no visual form, no sound, no odour, no taste, no object of touch, and no phenomenon. There is no I element and so on, up to and including no mind element, and no mental consciousness element. There is no ignorance, no extinction of ignorance, and so on, up to and including no aging and death, and no extinction of aging and death. Similarly, there is no suffering, origination, cessation, and path. There is no exalted wisdom, no attainment, and also no non-attainment. Shariputra, therefore, because there is no attainment, Bodhisattvas rely on and dwell in the perfection of wisdom, the mind without obscuration and without fear. Having completely passed beyond error, they reach the end point of nirvana. All the Buddhas who dwell in the three times also manifestly completely awaken to unsurpassable, perfect, complete enlightenment and reliance on the perfection of wisdom. Therefore, the mantra of the perfection of wisdom, the mantra of great knowledge, the unsurpassed mantra, the mantra equal to the unequaled, the mantra that thoroughly pacifies all suffering, should be known as the truth since it is not false. The mantra of the perfection of wisdom is declared. Tayata gate gate paragate parasamgate bodhisoha. Shariputra, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva, should train in the profound perfection of wisdom like that. Then the Bhagavan arose from that concentration and commended the Bodhisattva Arya Avalokiteshvara, saying, well said, son of the lineage, it is like that, it is like that. One should practice the profound perfection of wisdom, just as you have indicated. Even the Tathagatas rejoice. The Bhagavan having thus spoken, the Venerable Sharadvatiputra, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Arya Avalokiteshvara, those entirety along with the world of gods, humans, asuras, and Gandharvas, were overjoyed and highly praised that spoken by the Bhagavan. Page 25. Osashi purki chuk sheng me tok chamari rabling chi ni de gen padi san ge shing tu ni te ulwa yi jo kunam dak shing la cho pa cho je tsun lama dam pa kenam ki cho ku kala yen se chendrik ne jita samape dur che sin la sabage choki chapa bab so idama guru ratna mandala kanyayatayami. Page 27.
Sanje Junan Soji Chunan Lang Janju Bada Dane Jazan Je Dage Chuchen Jebe San Dola Penje Sanje Dobara Shu Sanje Chunan Soji Chunan Lang Janju Bada Dane Jazan Dage Chuchen Jebe San Namji Jendo Bara Shu Sanje Chunan Soji Chunan Chanjo Pada Dane Jasam Chi Dagi Chujin Gibe Sona Dola Penje Sanje Dobara Shu Kanga da Zenye Zame Dawa Danje Bama Yi Tambe Shene Denzebe Godam De La Chazela Donye Nye Sande Jobe La Chi Sande Ganje Dende Chana Bema Denze Jazola Sowa Dazo Shinjo Londosh Panden Zawe Lama Rambo Chen Dagi Jura Meme De Shone Gade Chimbe Gone Jizon De Kuson Jingo Doze De Suyo Shanjo Sanje Rambo Chen Majeva Na Jen Shi Jiwa Nyame Meme Chen Gone Gone Pegoro Shu 다 먼저 꿀렁 검지 개라 꿀렁 되다 담다 뒤 최년야 돼 스타니 마테리네 제스 심 상하로 땅에 주등에 심 상보스나다 밀라 펜도 가서 지도도 지어야 돼요. 이게다 선바 상보사 되어 밀라 펜도 전에 미 선바 상보도 세고라 되겠네. 하디 가서 톱도 지니마 드리네 양자 치기 삼제 대치 등에 아니 진짜디 얘기 삼제 꿀렁된 대직제 안에 고르스.
So first of all, we'll set a motivation meditation. So your motivation for listening should be to benefit others. So not only benefit others as much as you can. So this is what we call this good-hearted or pure motivation. It's the essence of it is to benefit others, but not just a little bit, as much as is possible. So as much as you can to benefit others. So this should be your motivation for listening to this teaching.
다 가고 건다 드린 근데요. 롭중치 중거디다 오늘 직 퇴야 중 상단 중어디 배 말한다 교상고 이 가고 공부가.
So now rejoice. Feel you're extremely fortunate to have this opportunity to be able to receive these teachings and this explanation on this amazing text. So really take joy in that.
다 디나라다 나면서 기생어서 직당 타대에서 안 오지당 오 타대에서 다드네 제지도 제 타대에서 단디기지 다다 기생 제 직기지 티에로 디시에네 편도 가려요 디시에네 편도 가려요 봐 디 삼로데데 타나야고요
So we've been looking now at one and many, right? And then we've been looking at one entity and multiple entities, one substance and many substances. So it's good to talk about like what is the actual benefit of studying this? Like why is it worthwhile to study?
세상은 저 배나 모직당 오타del라디 단다 디 ngo부락바도 저기 계제도 치엔데도 와 문제메야야 도스나나 심 참모다 롱 참모디 ngo부직도 도와타데레라고도 아니 드디 도와요 말다 ngo부직 칸데레 아니는 직리베 직 말이 다데레 ngo부직레서 어디 아니 세부차 차로도.
So when we look at this one entity, or normally translated as one nature or one essence, if we look at other aspects like the subtle mind and the subtle wind, that is said to be one entity or one nature, but different designations. So understanding what's meant by this one nature, one entity, is very useful when you come to study other things further on.
다디네 제직 제타데서 제지로 뭐지 제타데서 딱 개와 그래도 뭐 간시 개와 임베르들 제타데시고라 디셰운데 아니 디셰나 타셈다 수 제타데르와 셈다 수 제타데르와 제자다 수이나 셈마인 거래 셈이나 수마인 거래 디세보지 베 세보시운데 아니 다 레버 쉐버를 찌라고 말다 레버 봐 김제 가르스나 레버 수그레와 레버 수인다 다 레버 쉐버 용신 말다 남배중나 세부차로다.
When we talk about one substance, well, the meaning of one substance is if it is impermanent and it's mutually exclusive, which means goers like opposing. If it's one, it cannot be the other, essentially. That's what mutually exclusive means. So when we look at mind and form, these are said to be, obviously they're both impermanent, and they're also said to be mutually exclusive. So how is this useful? Well, if one looks at it, we have the brain and we have the mind. Now, the brain is definitely form, which means it can't be mind because it's form and they're opposing substances or mutually exclusive. So this makes it very clear that the brain is not the mind. It doesn't actually. It's not actually mind.
다들 낭배기 따줍스나 낭배기 두주간에 탑 자자자래도 제장 안아서 웨스턴기 아니 사이콜로지 다 뉴럴 센터즈 컨셉 만차디 타동나 아니 셰바디 레버를 잔냐라비용도 다 낭발로다 겨워다 디 용야 거라야 말데 요 미시베기 제시지 되고다.
So Buddhists philosophy really clearly lays out that this mind and the brain are something quite separate. Now, most modern science and psychology doesn't hold that view. They say the brain and the mind are the same. Oh.
Sorry.
I don't know. That's weird. This is sick.
Suddenly, where's come from this?
That's some weird cameras.
You know, sometimes we do what called the nya.
It's not cram. It's
he has finger cram.
It's some weird joint thing.
Isn't it?
Right. Anyway, where was I? Okay, so most modern psychology or science doesn't seem to hold any difference between the mind and the brain. They say it seems to be the same. That's so weird. So weird. It's really bad. Anyway, that's all good. We'll survive. All I was doing is moving my hair. I didn't even do anything. Yeah.
What?
So, maybe, I don't know. Very bizarre. Anyway, hopefully I can still write. We'll see how we go. He says, I've never seen anybody break their finger meditating, but you know, normally it's the knees and the legs that go, but this is a new one.
Yeah. Maybe we talking brand and your finger and brand some connection. Brand become upset.
Brand's like, doesn't like this not more.
Your brand say, brand has some connection, man, because you look this one.
I'll show you, not mine. Anyway.
미딘데 라니요 다 뒤에 찍던 타데는 개와도 제직 타데서 펜더 메제 심는 요알 페더요 뭐 오네 되서 베직 오네 되서 베직 오네 되서래다 베직 오네 되서래.
So you know, like there's really big benefit or great benefit from studying these things. You know, people think, oh, one and many and mutually exclusive and stuff. So it's like not really helpful in your understanding of the Dharma, like deeper understanding. But actually, this is the basics. You know, this is the basics, and it comes up a lot when you study other things.
We had one Western monk. We had class in Germany, from Germany, and he talking all the time. We had this debate. We said, what benefit? Call 펜도민도. 찍 타대, 찍 제다, 펜도민도.
So he kept saying, like, there's no benefit. What's the point of this one and many and different substances? It's like boring for him.
콘도 되고다 망배치에서 심 주어는 치 가리는 남상 심 톡돌 주어다니 되고다. 근데 말아 그 베이직 도구라고.
He's sort of thinking, oh, the point of Buddhism is to change the mind, but this kind of want this immediate mind changing wand or something, right? Like it's not like that. You have to gradually study up.
Yeah. We teasing him. Later he understood. Beginning he said, oh, Merton West. And another nun, she is doing in Kavenanare, Germany nun. She said, I'm Durakishi. In Kavenanare, this debate maybe 5 years. And she's so bored. I'm become Durakishi. Dura means this topic.
Dura is like this basic.
Topic.
Longer. They studied for 5 years.
Searchi Losum. Searchi 3 years.
Yeah, I did Dura 3 years. I was pretty bored.
Actually. And they Kobenanari 5 years.
Just Dura?
Yeah. It's very good. This reason Kobenanari become very good educated coming. This reason Searchi Mangum very good debate coming, you know. This is basic the away in the
So if you study the basic well, then comes good later. I guess it's the fundamentals for debate. So pretty useful.
Oh, there is another Yakashi,
don't get bored with this one substance, many substances. It's actually useful stuff.
Looks less how the go be
yeah, looks easy, but actually it's really
beneficial. Chimeda nyamne roje nga nyamne roje gra ani sem thamoda ani lungda sem ngochi gre ani tinde ke je shendi ani mi sang thobu da da je ji gre lavdi an ta this je ji gre lavdi ani sugre shevare ta gewa thangi leba dang shewa ki gore sigdo ta ya lungda sem je ji gre sigdo ta khare si an ta thuk do da then this shembe ina ani ma ya wo ching.
Yeah, so it's like it seems simple, but when you come later in the path, like for example, you're studying Tantra and it's saying this one essence between the wind and the mind.
Subtle wind
and the mind. Like it's very, you got to understand that this point. If you don't understand, well, what do they mean by this one substance or one entity? Then you can get very confused as to what is the meaning behind this. So and also the brain and the mind. We say that they're different substances, and what does that mean? What's meant by that? So we've covered off one substance, and now we're looking at different substances today. Separate. Okay, so the definition of the 6 substances, this is page 169, last paragraph. Phenomena that arises with separate essential natures. Yeah, this can yeah, this phenomena is not right here. This no, right? No. Yeah, this is phenomena is it's more like thing or impermanent that arises with separate essential natures, right? Like Madik cho tang ngo tati cho gangshik ngo tati di
cho gangshik ngo tati kiwe duje lamna chawayar da
kiwe duje, right? Yeah, so it's missing this compounded or impermanent aspect. Like I think phenomena.
cho gangshik ngo tati lamna zetade yungu marwa.
Yeah.
Takwa la ngo tati yor di zetade ring marwa.
Yeah, so there's permanent things that have different essential natures, but they're not considered zeta, different substances. They have to be impermanent phenomena. So I think the impermanent's missing here. But as long as you understand, Oh, okay. Well, then it's not right for the definition. It has to be impermanent phenomena. But anyway.
No, dujes gyue ngo tade dang zetade twenji yin sabda ta dujes gyue ngo tade dang zetade jigbare dujes gyue ngo tade lanare zetade lanare jigbare ta.
So if it's impermanent have different natures or different entities, then it's said to be different substances. So as long as it's impermanent phenomena or compounded phenomena.
Kawadang pumba shadwa. Kawadang pumba shadwa. Deda medodang chudang lung medang shingda dozu shamidi.
So pillar and pot, fire and water, fire and wood, etc.
So
if there's that they have substances and there's no what do you call it? Shintun is mutual entity. Shintun. So it's I forget the English word, but there's nothing which is both, basically. So there's nothing which is both a pillar and a pot, right?
다 규단 제위나 최대 규이나 최대단 제타대 미켜다. 최대 제위나 최대단 제 고랑랑 규단 제위더니 제타대 미켜. 준대라.
Kyogi
최단 규단 제위니 제타대 미켜다.
If it's its result and its cause, then they have to be different different substances. So a cause for one thing and the result of this cause and the cause of this result, they're different substances. But Gyutandrebu Chitangi Zeta. Yeah. So this phenomena is cause and this phenomena is result. Right? Is different substances. No, result and cause generally is a totally different thing. Generally speaking, if you just say cause and effect, they're synonyms. They're one meaning. If it's a cause, it's necessarily an effect. But this phenomena is cause. So like this cup's cause and this cup's result, they're different substances or mutually exclusive.
Tadi imbe gyumzen shegorde. Gyumzen karayala na tatanda dini tongmegi rwa. Tongmegi shewala nawe tse ngososo nawe duje imbe ane zetadi shogore esta tanda gyumzen dirida.
Kanda di
dini tongmegi shewala asira. Kawadan pumba nidira. Pena kawadan pumba shasonga. Kawadan pumba di zetadi res. Gyumzen karayala ina dini ilada kawadan pumba dini 동메 셰발라 나베 체 동메 셰발라 나용디 아니 ngososo 나베 뒤제 임바 인자 아니 제타데 샤고레스 규제데르다.
So when those two appear to a non-conceptual condition, they are posited as distinct substances since they are conditioned phenomena that appear with separate essential natures. In this way, this is the way in which things can be one and many identical or different in reality as entities. So is that clear? I mean, is what's in the book clear? Okay, look. Well, this is the okay, and identical in their essential natures, yet have conceptually distinct identities or isolates. Does that make sense? Okay. So you got it? Are you clear now?
Tadi wala sikjiyorda. Tadi pe tangege namre nala zedu sikbedi. Susu kashu sora. Susu kashu sikti. Nge sik kashu sikti de yorse.
So this next verse from Exposition of Valid Cognition is like vast verse, like vast meaning.
Yeah, dear. Favorite. My favorite.
Oh, Gasha. Sorry. Like
my
favorite.
My favorite was.
Okay. Your favorite verse?
Yes. This is very good. The Jumzen Karela ina. Tadi Martin like the Karelana. Dange Duslam na digre. Ngel sik di tanda malokon dusi lapshana. Tanzo tanda di dodeva tan chida ma dudo ma de zerwa da simzamba da uma maingi into zugi. Move neluk sejora, move neluk she the contagion like your esta.
So this verse explains the lower schools, so the Sutra school and the Great Exposition schools, understanding of functional things, functional phenomena. So it goes into like it explains everything about how they categorize this.
That Kalagoyasna, Tonda Kalosna, Mobo Chirama, Danto Devatu, Mobo Kari Yemaina, so Mobo Kari Yemaina. Kurang Ngodi, Madevachi, Dede Yores, Mo Madevachi. Koran Ranshindi, Madevachi, Chikil Pazu, Madevachi, Dede Yores. Aina, Dadanzo de la Yaji, Povada, Teta, Nugudan, Joseph, and the Yungudo Asta, the Yedi, Dogbaris, Dogbalan, Ming. Minglan, Dobalan damages, who Ming pa danger charge and judge remissions. Mobu Koran Ranshi, Koran desert around the agreement, Pazu Dia Mares. Nega Pazu me dot to the Diadan, Juma, Ranjung, Congo to the Diad in the Yungueres. Ina Koran Tadu desert, Susu there and desa. Rang more de la agreement, the part more dead way at in the J. Marpena, Pobadinang there. Tanda negab de la cor rural chedere, rural dead and deo mara. 갈래 포버드 차스는 그런 뒤에 그런 간데서 다가나 대샤고로 다가나 대샤고 다른데 포버스야 쪽대에서 그 민기 파주 독백에 아니 민기 파주 조단제 로데르미시 지금 제디 뭐뭐 제 그런 시티 그런 가도 대서 딱다 미 파단 수다나 그런 대서 따다다다다 대제 로그레스 되면시 지금 디시에거 데백 깨져디 닝제고 쇼지도 알아.
So basically goes to explain that the nature of this phenomenon is that they're not connected, right? Like it's not connected, they're merely
connected.
they don't. Sorry, they don't meet. They don't meet. So they don't meet. Like they don't actually come in contact, but they're merely named by people as an isolate, basically, like Dokpa is just like
no mixing. Mixing.
So they don't mix.
Dig sugar dinner pa did two. Kuni dewa yorwa. Dea man de was the pa. Did to ship down.
Yeah.
For example, barley and the bagan border mixing, We think looks mixing, but reality not mixing. No.
Sorry, just to clarify this word meat, it means that they don't.
Yeah,
they don't mix. They don't they're not in that kind of don't literally touch. They constant merge. Okay, they don't merge. That's a good word. All right, so they don't actually kind of merge with each other. They merely kind of form this, which is named or made like as designated as an isolate by people, right? They're not actually merged together. So for what this means is like when this cup breaks, all the parts of it will just dissipate, right? And eventually all the So it's when it breaks apart, like it will, like the particles or they will just dissipate back to, will just dissipate out into its various.
Koran desa de tata degre da mishiji mi paju nega paju de jodo pana jungwa rangjung khang go jodo ya pana chaba dan de lung jamne paju ke ra wot de anzo da thingsan zambuling mi damen da sogo yora mi damen da pa tuk chu tuk je de ne düden to nega be de go tuk de da koran desa de tuk je de se ani anzo mil kang i tek da corona virus to mi tuk jo
So the particles will kind of hold their own nature, right? And some things naturally move around like wind and so forth, but when humans get involved and they start to make things and manipulate things, then we can come into a great deal of problems, like coronavirus, for example. When you kind of get humans involved, they tend to mess things up quite a bit by manipulating the situation.
Maybe next time, which kind of virus come, we never know. People making so many complicated. Then all particles become a little bit confusing.
That's right, the particles got confused.
The average year the Kedeshe in the today Koran Raju, there's the Dejugo Marwa. Koran could such your the Tata Degura, me Yajik to magic to big the truck chamberlain project gets them did not watch it. They went to negative because of go to.
So the particles generally want to stay in their own nature and kind of be left alone, but humans get involved and then trucks come through and they do all sorts of weird things, and then the particles get a bit like, what's going on? They get confused and they don't know what to do. So I think it's just
the deal Samladana, the dig tick the Tonda the ship some water.
So the
tape can a saving it or take one. I'm gonna tape that they go Rakaduina. Tape that they go ra. And it tape taming button there, Tangala taming what to the sugar de Grandpa Serudara. Said you could do the Papa Todura. Quran to the Ngoma des de Durago. The did pay Mune that something.
So you can, when you think about this, read this verse and think about the meaning, you can actually see it in the reality of things. Like I have some old books, like very old books, and the pages are starting to fray, and the particles, like some of them are starting to dissipate out and go back to whatever they were busy with before somebody put them into a book, right? So it shows that this is the actual way and things exist.
제가 아니 단단한 거 강바세로 직 단다 장가 직세 니세로 제 직세로 제 타대서 도 상은 민래 독바 민그 세션 민을 코나기 당분에 직도 된저다 당분에 타대 된저 당분에 제 직도 당분에 제 타대 된게 요 말에 로 당부대 포바대 요 말아 아니 미 포바 직세 미 포바 니세 직니도 매 당부 탭디 여시고 요 말이야 미 탭 직세 탭 니세 동용보다 되라 되래다.
So this idea of this one and many and this same substance difference, this is like designations, right? Things didn't necessarily automatically exist in this way. Like this book, one book, two books, many books. This is all man-made. Cups, one cup, two cup. These many cups that are around. Again, this is all man-made. These particles didn't naturally arise in this form.
that thing it was jamna da chana da thing the twa be
So we'll go through this verse, but the words are kind of quite like, I don't know.
Tasty.
Ah, tasty. Okay, yes. Very tasty word.
Tasty was yalabda teda chikdan tadedang ngo chikdan ngo tadedang ngo chikla toba tade namashawani chude dage rigbe onjugi chamanamri lesto inda chikdan tadedang ngo chik tadesana da karela binde kanji ngugo ranshingi chikdire kanji ngugo ranshingi rangrang ngo lane tungwashinde ngodala tobalan tembeshi ta ngobu kunji ranshingi sore kanji ngobu kunji ranshingi rangrang ngobu desade takda dege yores 이나 코 아니 릭툼바 뭐고 릭툼발 때네 내가 파르 추디 지야딘 때네 아니 독바지 민다면도 중월에서 봐 슈구시아로 퍼바시아 짜시아로 추시아로 메시아도서 그러나 주 릭툼바데 수로 룩체제 아니 메다 추나 룽다딘데 중월에서 데이터 민담제레 미시지 뭐고 그런신데 수수스란시 마데바치제 데데 요레스타 뭐베네로 어데레다 데데 틱 간다야 보더라
Okay, so because I'll read the verse. Because all things naturally exist with their own individual essential natures, they are dependent on conceptual isolates of similar or distinct class. So it means that basically the things, the functional things or the things, stay in their own, like nature or entity. But then the names that we give them are merely designated, right? Like Dokpa's this conceptual isolate, which means they're merely named. Their nature is just to kind of rangi no degire, just abide or just be. You could say their nature is just to be, but then they are named or designated as different isolates. But that's a designation by people.
And the rictum. 뭐뭐 릭툼바 주로 루치 와 미슈 릭메툼바데 루치도 말아 추 메메메 주 루치도 릭툼발라도
Okay, so
뭐고 란신지스데 뭐뭐 퉁외신징과다서 퉁외스데 뭐뭐 릭툼바 주로 루차데 내갑질 싫어데
So they kind of come together if they have harmonious riktumba or harmonious or suitable, you could say suitable aspects or types. So like, for example, water comes together, or fire comes together. I guess it's maybe certain molecules or atoms attract together to form molecules, maybe something like that.
modern Sunday control physics 가시에게 낭배에게 슈 modern standard control physics 디 간중고마 하마고 지스템 된데 말 뭐만에 디 control physics 딱다 로데기도 디 physics 데르다.
So when you think about quantum physics and this, what the Buddhist scriptures say, then actually they match up. They come to the same thing. So, this idea that this quantum physics is something very new that nobody understood before, actually these concepts have been around for a very long time.
뒤에 가르스나 뭐버스스 단다 주 레버디 코나 뭐버스스 텐슈단 비자자세 쇼다 모델산도 식대스 비지지단 담은데
So this
코랑 뭐보게 주 간주 주 렘베나 코랑 그 슈디나 코파 조도요 봐 단다 잠불린데 모델산데 데라 빅방 파파파도 제메 텐슈사스나 주주주 공부라고 그러데 디드eng 그 도단 코랑 파도 주 용체데 코 구슈단 텐슈사데 다가나로 봐다.
Yeah, this idea that things come together and then dissipate out or attract and repel. These kind of concepts have been around for a very long time. This idea of this Big Bang that scientists have come to relatively recently, where the thing expand out and then contracts back in, something like that. This kind of thinking has actually been around in the Buddhist philosophy for a very long time.
제수수 란시 마데바 데요레 따디 nenga chimo shore 란시 마데바 데요레 레브디 두데 타모수수수수 구여제 데데게 요와 따디 바룰라 동자요 동자 바룰라 먼저 단도 동자 통구요 말이데 이 슈그디 제 바룰라 먼저 동자 통구면 더 먼저 그 셰럽 뼈타고 요래 셰럽 또 베나 시네톱 아니 신의 톱이는데 아니 르라 메기는데 르 테만냐 샹군의 톱이는데 아니 르그난 게 düden 창마 아니 르 하나베 düden 그 촉바직 통구요 르 테만냐 샹군의 딜레는데
So this idea that these substances abide in their own entity means that they don't actually come in contact. Like there's a space between these particles, these subtle particles. Now we can't see that directly. We can only conceptually understand it. But when you have developed karma abiding, you can really understand the nature of your body, and you can see these subtle particles don't actually meet. They don't come in contact. But for that you need like the real concentration.
세상 안저 동니 미드즈 딜 주기주고요. 근데 그 매직 된데 걔 말해. 그 리얼리티 신경 안저 근데 리얼리티 신경 말해.
Right.
나는 사람들 리얼리티 인팅 거요. 타고 나 동니 미직이 리얼리티 나라 거기 동자 요디 이게 통구요. 통화 인사 되나라 주고요다. 별로도 저는 리나라 주고요 망고요. 동니 미드즈. 제가 네 까올 주고요래 달래를 주고요래. 네 가르스나 코 주고 동과 여는 주고는 동과 매워질라. 매직도 오지 나로 이제 된데 말다. 네 미가시 된데서 나오셔도 왔디. 근데 동니 고추고요 말아. 이시고다.
So if people have realized emptiness and they really understand the reality, then phenomena is quite different. Like people who've realized emptiness can actually put their finger through physical matter, right? And this happens a lot in Tibet. There's like people put their imprints on stones and pillars and like different, foot imprints, handprint imprints, so forth. Now, how does this work? It's because they can see the space or the empty space between the particles. And because of that, they can understand, like they can physically put their finger, but it's not some sort of magic trick. It's just through understanding the nature of reality. And if there wasn't this empty space there, then this couldn't be done. So it's through understanding and clearly seeing that they're able to do these things.
Pilliva went to Tibet in Uvende Gandhi Lama Tsonga temple. They go out in the lodge on the rock, they lodge the finger hole, isn't it? Do you see? Yeah. In Tibet, laws like that. Laws everywhere. Every monastery has like that. Maybe future Chandrakirti someone put it outside. They already have some crystal rock. Put their finger. Yeah. Do you want? You try put them. Then you finger pen. Yeah. Yes. They say, for example, we had to call it megaphone, big
Microscope,
looking here, and this one here, one there, looks similar coconut tree, big hole, We don't see here, something like that. And the modern scientists people they thinking because of
Microscope.
big megascope, and then the particle between a big gap, similar car falling down, and they're afraid. I'm falling down, afraid. They're afraid. That's go dirwada. 그냥 먼저 셈되다. 뭐이네 주바로 타는 못 되대요로. 뒤전에다 먼저 강에 태서 뒤태고 당하란 상월로 강에 뒤.
So our minds and the nature of the way things are very far apart, and because of this gap, that's why we experience so many difficulties. Right?
말하면서 닝제로 통 야구 가버로 통 페네지요 됐다 여러 이지로 시에네 대 심디간라 주 아니 강에 상만 대 태그다 말한 상만 대.
So when we see something that we think is beautiful or nice, we really kind of fully engage with that. We think it's really there, and then we can't fully mentally engage with the object, and it causes us all sorts of problems.
근데 reality 인데 요마라 이는 아주 심게 소시하다라. 근데 이 땅아는 수수 이지시고라 돼.
So in reality, it's not like this. It's all made by our mind, but because we believe it so strongly, then it causes all sorts of problems.
세상에 배원에 책디 누가 첨부셔 책디 롤러시 저랑서 롤러 롱지 땅 직제직.
So these words are very powerful, It's good if you could memorize.
양대 직제지도 간증국어는 신지 라랑오래나 등외신용은 도발란 템바지 어디서 있는데요. 신다지 생말이야.
Okay, just the first one. Because all things naturally exist in their own individual essential natures, they are dependent on conceptual isolates of similar and dissimilar class. So that's the main one. And if you memorize that, you don't need to.
저랑도 스스로기 구루를 열어. 아니 구루들을 깨져와 뒤티고
So you all have your own like lamas or gurus or teachers. So if you can ask them to explain it to you, the meaning of all these words.
구루문에 디세도 자고라다.
This is something, this is a real expert. This is something that your guru specifically can teach.
Sounds like guru yazde샤 아니 랍자자니도 마즈데샤 아주 된대치기다. guru 타른 곳이야. 지다 랍자요 말이야. 그래서 셴이디 guru요 말이야. 아니 나들라 연대 연구와 말이야. Gap chawra gap.
No, so you kind of have this tendency
guru yazdeyo guru.
To put a guru up here, like right up there, but then the people who give us advice or something like that, we don't see them in the same way. So if you create this big gap between, yourself and your guru and the people you actually listen to, then it's not, the relationship is quite different.
Yeah, funny. Yeah. That's the
So it's good if you can memorize this verse, or you need to memorize this verse.
You must.
Yeah, you need. Yeah, must.
Next.
Minji.
인지 토는 맛이 다디 말에 책도 마치 먼저 차숨 껴러. 안단다 탄다디야. 삼나데 스타다 곰데스자오.
So we'll recite this verse 3 times together, then we'll contemplate the meaning a little bit.
Yeah. Do you have or do you don't have book? Maybe you can read, share book. Okay. Yeah. 1, 2, 3.
All things naturally exist with their own individual essential nature. They are dependent on consensual aspects of similarities. Because all things naturally exist in their own individual nature. They are dependent on conceptual aspects of similarities. Because all things naturally exist with their own individual essential nature. They are dependent on conceptual aspects of similarities.
다디 질라 maybe 빙고기 빈더치제 consultation
So if you can print out this verse and send it out to everybody, give it to
that's good. Or send email or this. Taredinda de lonzita. Ta gom tandang de drops jobs on this is better samdang tip samdang power samdana. This is a tool samdana, tool pedro da penang edi tango pe saur, that mean to go pedro da project. 근데 그 뒤진도 코나 도서 두고요다. 나로 베베 라고래.
So, you can think about it. You should also then relate it to your actual experience of phenomena. Like whatever you see, like books, tables, so forth. Clothes is really good. So, the clothes new, it looks nice and fresh, but in time it's slowly going to fray and dissipate and dissolve. So, I can say goodbye to my nice clothes.
This clothes to me lost bye, and now become ting. I think this 31 years old, this one. 31 years. What?
Would you be able to explain this paragraph in relationship to the clothes?
Yeah.
The verse.
Yeah.
So
how it is essential nature, how it is similar and dissimilar class.
Okay, so the tonda the duglog the tonda candid it. Can you please explain how this verse, the meaning of this verse in relation to the example of clothing?
제가 간징구구란 신지라는 거라네 퉁어시는 거 똑발은 때문이라고. 당에디 초고디 나게 제저로 제디 란신디 코란 대사다다 되그레스. 어 간징구구란 신지라는 거라네 퉁어신지랍디 단다 내가 코세 초고 차대 와서디 그 레그 제 릭tum버든데 추루룩 차지 내가 지라 추 릭tum버시 대대요레스 디네 밍델 내가들 초고스 밍다셔요레스 다 제메야 디 싱도 차로 싱기제로야 그 둘러도 말에 가든을 잡네 싱기제야 디 제디 간사질이냐 싱기제로 드디 콜레 싱라 그래 단다 콜레 레라 그래
so the conso di z di dultramo di
뒤tam모
so this bit here where it says because all things naturally exist within their own essential natures. This is meaning that the substance, which is the subtle particles, like naturally just abide, just be. However, when it comes together, when there's tunba is suitable or harmonious, so this is suitable type or suitable or harmonious type, they can come together to form it's a conceptual, basically a thing, right? In this case, this robe. And then the label robe can be given. But in time, those particles will then dissipate, and those particles will then go and, maybe be part of something else. So that some of the particles might go into the ground and then become part of a tree. And then so those particles naturally abide in their own nature, and they come together to form different entities or isolates. And then with different names, different labels, different isolates. So okay, now we can meditate on it. Okay, so we'll do a breathing exercise 10 times first. And then think of something like clothes or a book or something like that. Yeah, a car or whatever. Whatever thing that's more suitable for you.
Oh yeah, that the young doji. Jago de Chiranzo di na peja yona di na le de jado wade de na kanji ngui ngui ra shi
So,
ra ngo shin de tumu shin de do bal ne temba jin la gen di ro ti ji khanda khan ne do bal ne de de dong ju ru wala ran ji ji ti ji jo na ne ji ro tele shin be nu ju wa de ne ta de shi sta ngo bo nam sla da ran ran ji ngo bo shin da ma de war sla da de ta da do de shi ngo bo na ran ran ji ngo bo tang madeva neva yinsa yimbe labda junzere rigtun rigmitun kule logwar neva re ta rigtun le lo rigmitun le lo ani thena pena shida da wechigla yang rigtun ji ngobo pumbale lo ro midagwa chigba yamba tile logwar wa ko nega dadi pumba marwa ko ani rigmitun naga la sogwat ne logwa yinza ani ko ti 내가 근데 차도 요레스 나 릭tum바디 규어도 요. 다 규어도 되고요. 대체와 미다서 독바 타대게 제외신이 다인라서 대딩이 제미다 타대데 예외 근제네 다딩이 마체 어디라모가 정일 강한테 주시다 마모자로.
So then it goes on to explain in the text, since things exist in reality as their own individual essential natures, unmixed with others, they exist separately from all other phenomena. Both of these of similar classes and those of distinct classes. Therefore, a single basis such as a sound may be different in terms of many conceptual isolates of similar class, such as differentiated from a vase, and conceptual isolates of dissimilar class, such as differentiated from space, and so on. So basically, the way things exist is that if they have these particles come together in this harmonious rigtumba, like harmonious type or aspect, then they come together and they can form an isolate. But these then are still differentiated or distinct from other, like in this maybe forms or different isolates, right? They exist as distinct, I guess, entities or isolates from other isolates, and these are all subject to change. Karen di gyugere sonso? Tama di konso gyugere. Ma karen sonso na ngada.
Marama bena rigtule logbasira bena zo dagngel phowas la yindiro.
Right.
Phowadi pho mayimba ani shimada tendene ko rigtumara dini ngobo jigbora kuni. ngobo jigba yinza rigtumbala. Ta rigtumbala de 치중 담면도 틱잡 담면도 비주체야. 인지민지 틱찍나는 시도는 보고 말아.
No chikpatan rigtumba.
ngobo 인자 rigtum바래. rigtum발에 록발라 상하다. 근데 도발한 템버진스 rigtum지 ngo보라 인데 디니니디 ngobo 임바 rig바지 보라. ngobo 임바 이나야.
Okay.
코 딜레 투 록보라. 코 시마데 마르와 포바디 시마 마르와고. 이나 다 rig미tum바 라빈데 난가 마르와 포바디 딱바 마르와. rigtumba shuma de ngobo yimba rigtumba le lokbar chu lokbar karasna de poba de shuma mare so poba de shuma mainza tile rigtumba le chu lokbar rigtumba ngo karina ngobo yimba chikbar so.
Okay, so for example, it's you take two things like this pen and this cup. They're harmonious rigged, like type, in the sense that they're both functional things, right? So compared to something permanent, they wouldn't be of the same. They're like, that's totally opposite. They're not in the same essence as being functional things or impermanent phenomena. However, they're continue rigmitumba
tagbale logore. rigtumba shumale churan shugutim nyugule chu logore ro.
So deep nugutanti pabadi
midawa yimba chikba rigtumba midawa.
You know the dogbata there.
dogbata there. Chu logbare dogbalan temba chin ko dogbala chu log karasna rigtumba ane nyugudi shugudi nyugule chu log nyugu mayimba.
Okay.
So
they're of the same type in terms of type in terms of being impermanent. But if you say like this cup is distinct from or the opposite of being or it says here the negation of being a cup. So you could say this. It sounds quite strange in English, but this cup is the negation of being a pen. That's how you arise at the cup. But basically, it's not a pen. So therefore, you can't arise at the cup if it's not distinct or not if it's not a pen. It's weird in English.
It explains it on page 170 that it's just a different conceptualization.
Yeah, it's
everything's got many names, not pen, not still cup, but not that.
왜 코디네 수 로고 여러 많이 받네. 담에는 뭔고 여러 되게 수 로고. 로고스가 많이 봐. 다 임바다 많이 봐 가로 인고라. 야면은 포와 인고라. 야면은 포와 많이 인고라. 다 요거 간실.
Yeah, so So when we say this negation of being, it means it's basically not that thing. So if something exists, it's either a cup or it's not a cup. So that's the essential way you understand it.
디지고 포버르미시 간주 상모 디저 잘라도 상 포 많이 버냐 차로다. 많이 버셔도 고 딜러치로고 포웨니 찔리면도 돼.
So if you say this cup, then everything else is not this cup. So if you say essentially not this cup, then you come back to the cup.
다이는 딜러 삼다요래. 디 스위싱도 쓰는 건지 셔버지기 신고로 간지 신기도 도 삼당고로.
Yeah, so the reason we explain it like this is how our mind actually apprehends objects, like in this way. So konzo di purple mayembele lokpa dini purple hakogido. Yeah.
Di hamogo nana ani ganzi sanzanla power cheese di shuma chengoda miga shege power mayembasi di lokpa de yawa hamogo na power cheese lab di sanzanla shuma chengoda. Kanzanla chake shi di kobe chengoda. Di yawa hakogo mara.
So if our mind apprehends, this is how our mind understands things or knows things, by it being the opposite of not being the cup. That's how it understands it's the cup. So for example, it's important to understand this because if you say to somebody, "Oh, go bring," if they don't know the opposite of not being the cup, then you say, "Go bring the cup," and they might bring you a pen, or you say, "Go get me coffee," they might bring you tea, something like that.
쌤디게 타야고 체 야고 신기요 말아와. 신나 고다다 쳔고로 마신디 미지고 커피 체실라디 차치용고도 같이. 단다데 상한난 로다 세우여래. 상한난 로라. 왜다도 나 취사부 때라라. 취상은 취창부 때.
If they don't understand what this imputation is of like cup or whatever, then they might mistakenly bring you the wrong thing. Like it happens when you go to restaurants. They say, "Oh, bring me hot water," and they bring you cold water because they don't really know what hot water is.
이 컨셉이 타 콜로 취차고 마인벌 로고 먹어. 취차고 그거 하고요 말이야.
So they don't understand. This is weird. They don't understand imputation on the basis of what you need is the opposite of not being hot water. So they bring you just cold water.
What is your question?
That sounds weird.
There must be a factor of time involved with it because, when we're talking, you're saying subtle particles here don't actually meet, but what we're talking about subtle particles, when we learn about subtle particles, they are the smallest possible particles. So, that's pretty small, like the elemental particles, for example.
Right.
Anyway. But, for example, book, we might say, right, this is a book now, but then if I maybe just say come back tomorrow, just as an example of time, and somebody spilled water over this book and damaged it, or and it just became this soggy mush, then I wouldn't designate it as a book anymore. It would be a piece of rubbish. So what I'm saying is they're the same particles.
Yeah.
But because of the changing time and conditions change, but they are the same particles in the book. And I designated it as book one day, and the other day I designated it as rubbish.
Okay, so what's the question?
Time.
No, but
same particles.
Yeah, but that's time. That's a state. You're saying that's something you're saying. What's the question?
Well, that is asking if that's correct.
Oh, okay. So is time a factor in designation? Because over time, then things can change. Like if it might be the same particles, but they compound in a different way or something. So if this book, if it got wet, it would be different. It would be destroyed.
Because they're changing all the time.
Because they're changing. So, diletini di do. Diletini yongere. Pena tereng nanso di debre labire. So, you know, sangin di chu log and di chilok lag de, then it did sangin yong di do dawa yore, you know, di deb mare. So, di diletini.
You were done. Tidare. You were to add tulin the word.
Yeah.
You were done the tulitin to where you go.
So, obviously, the change in the composition is affected by time. Things change. In order for things to change, it requires time to change.
To do it. How about the table on millisam darwa? Lo you should sumju kong togu tomutindena, Tando Tobin washing mare. Body did
people also change. Like if you knew somebody new from your childhood like 30 years ago, you meet them today, you wouldn't even recognize them, right?
It's
changed because of time, over time, you know, like all impermanent phenomena is like this.
Okay, so can I just extrapolate from that then?
Yeah.
That means our whole reality, all the designations we make of this, that's that, and that's that, and that's there, and that's there.
Yeah.
Is just a snapshot, like one snapshot of time, because if we came back tomorrow, it might be different. So any moment, if it's changing moment by moment, all our designations are just snapshots of where the particles happen to lie at that moment that we're labeling.
So then our labeling is also dependent on time because of this current, it's a snapshot because of the current composition of the particles, then we label this, that, and designate this, that. Because everything's constantly moving. So, what we label now is only at this, is a snapshot only at this particular moment in time, and of course it may be different in the future. So, nanza di Dokpa Dramandra, Ming Dramandra, dude, Tandarang, Yore, Sangyan dini Dokpa Dramandra Shempa Yore, Ming Shempa Yore, so di Chikpola. The Ming Yore and indeed Jela
Jela. The Colata di Chawadi la Juring, the Tugi Chawadi la Juring Damandere. Kashi Pena Kangbadozo, Lojatambe, Kangwa Sing to the Lotonga Sing Doa, Lotonga Nala Toladrea, and a Kangba Loja, Konanzo Kangba Lojaga Kangba in Sayora, and it Nechala in the Nalonga, and it's in a Pena Calado in a showway, Showway Ningulado, that go Chizing, second thing, Dinama Tuntundo, and it. Chawadila yata chazo tugi chawadila
it depends on the aspect like the aspect of the thing. For example, you may have buildings that are 100 years old, trees that are 1,000 years old, and so forth.
And
the designation stays the same, you know, as that tree for 1,000 years, that building for 100 years, whatever it might be. Other things like food, for example, you might only be good for a day or half a day or something like that, and it changes much more quick, the aspect changes much more quickly. So it depends on the aspect, or the charge also can be like function of the object. So like we can say the same thing about the Buddha's teachings, maybe say 500 years or 1,000 years, and like also, but changes at that time. So some places it's died out, some other places it's arisen, and so forth. So of course, physical form changes as well, like our bodies and so forth. So I've got a question here. So form is subject of emptiness. Emptiness is a form, implying emptiness is a subject of form. I'm not really sure what's meant by subject here, but I'll give it a go. So the zog tongbani zog. So, tondak di karere kanyin sene di zog mi takpore tongbani takpore se di tondak karere
dire ngojik da ngojik dobata de dire 숙디 군조된 말이라 동반이데 된다는 말이라 이나야 숙 덴버드에 동바데 숙호랑 ng오디 숙 덴버드에 동어래 ng오디 숙 ng오디 숙호랑 ng오디 동반이 있어요 숙호랑 ng오디 동반이래 숙 동반이래 베스나 숙 동반이 말레스
Okay.
숙 덴버드에 동바 숙당
숙이 no 동반이래
숙 ng오디 네 동반이당 ng오지래스다 ng오지래서 어디다
건다 숙이 no
숙은 ng오당 숙당 숙이 동반이 ng오지라고다 숙당 숙이 동반이 ng오지라고
and the zuglatene 동반이
숙latene 말 숙이 띵기 동반이라고
숙이 띵기 the
베나 숙미다 거라 당고 닐라 동반이 샤시다 닐라 동반이 유시라 닐라 당고 미다고라는 레라도 숙디 미다보다 ng오지 그래. 가르스나 숙코랑 룹산이네 미다바 ng오 두고요. 숙코랑 다나래. 어디 당무 디에신 거. 제상에 라고도 좀 하시나 당무 가고도 와제사. 당무 닐라 숙단 미다고데 숙다 미다고니디 숙단 숙딩 미다고니디 ng오지를 또 왔다 되다. 다시 해보자서.
Okay. One nature. Different designation. So when we talk about form, you can't say like form is relative truth, emptiness is ultimate truth. Also, form is impermanent, emptiness is permanent. So you can't say that form and emptiness like they're the same, right? Like, but what you can say is the nature of form is that it's empty of being inherently existent and being truly existent.
Emptiness
Yeah, empty. Temperature betongbare.
So ngodi temperature betongare.
Yeah. The nature of form, or the essence of form, is that it is empty of being truly existent. Temperature betongare. So you could say this nature of form and emptiness are one nature. The nature of form and the emptiness on the basis of form is one nature. Does that make the words clear? Yeah. So to explain an example that's more easy to understand in the terms of one nature, you can say form and impermanence, right? So if you have something form, you automatically have to have impermanence. Like anytime you have form, you have impermanence. So that's why they say one nature. So form and the impermanence's form is one nature, different designations. Because if you have one, you have to have the other. Right.
세상고 제라성은 속대 미다바 ng오야 ng오직 차로다야 다디 세우직 차동아.
So when we talk about impermanence in general, it's not the impermanence of form, but impermanence of general is said to be the universal in this, sometimes translated as generality, and the form is the particular, or like you could say the superset and the subset. So if you have form, you have to have impermanence. However, it's not necessarily the other way around.
다단다 시자라, 다 시자. 다 시자당 속 ng오지다. 그래서 내 시자의 지차동아, 네 속디다 지라차 속랑 어디 시자야 차로다 어디.
So you could also say functional, established base, or you could just say phenomena and form. Form is one nature with phenomena, because if you have form, you have to have phenomena.
다 그래서는 시자다고 그러와.
Yeah, but
so
again, for established base or phenomena is permanent and form is impermanent, yet they are also one nature.
Yeah.
So in this case, emptiness is the superset or the universal, and the form is a particular. So you could say form. Sugtang no the.
Sug 동반이 chira.
Suggi 동반이 chira.
Sugde 동반이 chira.
So yeah, form is a particular of emptiness or a subset of emptiness. Okay, sorry. So the form being empty of truly existence is a subset of emptiness, right? So these are said to be one nature.
그다음에 수코랑 어디 가르스나 수그란시디 가르스나 다 단단한 텐주에게 시거든. 덴버트와 마인자 덴버트와 동어와. 덴버트와 동어인데 수그딩 동반이 차서 아니 오직 다 다다래서 말이야.
So the fact that Zog is empty of truly existence is the emptiness of form. The same that is Zog Tongbani lives on. Yeah. So by form being empty of being truly existent, you come to the emptiness of form. So they have one nature. So there you see why one nature, different designation is so important.
symbol example
Yeah. So if you understand the symbol examples, then you can understand the more complex ones. Ultimately, matter cannot be created or destroyed. Is that correct? So, ultimately, matter cannot be created or destroyed. Is that correct? So, Zug Tramodi, Sotubgimara, any member Sotubgimara. Did no, di Zug Tramodi. Parts of Dotubgin, Sapa Sotubgimara.
number the negab sway kono sukdi thamodi chie mewa sutya yo mare ko sans gyodora nega sans la power suk thamodi du thamodi power cha dore chu cha dore sing cha dore sans la shogo cha dore sans la ngzu subu cha dore na ko mewa sutya yo mare that's it.
So yeah, true that you cannot, like the particles, the subtle particles, you cannot create or destroy them. However, they can certainly change the aspect, right? Like, so there's no new matter created or it's destroyed, but certainly it's changing all the time. Like the aspect is changing all the time. Sometimes it's in a cup, sometimes it's in different aspects, right?
니마지 팅마지라 포웨 제자 팅마지라 미지기 제자 먼저 미디게 수부 제 디제 먼저 되어도 왔다 수부.
So in this way you could see that we're all connected here, because although at this point in time you could say the particles in our bodies are distinct, this is just a relative collection at this point in time. Later that could dissipate and change, and some of the particles could be part of a cup or something like that. So it's just in this way, all part of each other's bodies and swap and change and so forth. So this way we can see how we're all connected.
Oh yeah, that is so.
Okay, so we'll stop here.
So if
you memorize that verse and then meditate on the meaning, that'd be very good.
Okay.
Idama Guru Ratna Mandala Kamniryachayami. Due to the merit of these virtuous actions, may I quickly attain the state of a Guru Buddha and lead all living beings without exception into that enlightened state. May the supreme jewel bodhicitta that has not arisen arise and grow, and may that which has arisen not diminish but increase more and more. Whatever slight positive potential I may have created, by paying homage, offering and acknowledging my faults, rejoicing and requesting that the Buddhas stay and teach, I now dedicate all this for full awakening. I dedicate all these roots of virtue with the dedication praised as the best, by the victorious ones thus gone of the 3 times, so that I might perform the noble Bodhisattva's deeds. May the King of Dharma, Tsongkhapa's way of Dharma practice flourish. May the omens of obstacles be pacified, and all the conducive circumstances be complete. The wish-granting, wish-fulfilling jewel, source of every single benefit and happiness in this world, to the incomparably kind Tenzin Gyatso I beseech, may all your holy wishes be spontaneously fulfilled. Savior of the snowland teachings and transmigratory beings, who makes extremely clear the path that is unification of emptiness and compassion. To the lotus holder Tenzin Gyatso I beseech, may all your holy wishes be spontaneously fulfilled. You who uphold the subduer's moral way, who serve as the bountiful bearer of all, sustaining, preserving, and spreading Manjanath's victorious doctrine, who masterfully accomplish magnificent prayers honoring the three jewels, Savior of myself and others, your disciples, please live long. By relying on the two accumulations of myself and others in the three times, may the teachings of the conqueror Losang Dragpa blaze for a long time.